Hello. I'm back. I know that there are a lot of things that we're going to try and get through today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Today is actually a not so bad day, but we're going to get back to some of the different confusions that people are having, Black people in the community are having. But today I'm going to deal with a couple of questions that were asked of me, some things that you guys ran into while I was down, some different issues that that come up that makes it a little frustrating for you to do what you do. There's a lot of misinformation and cliches, and I know you guys have been dealing with the young people that are appear to be getting a little wilder and putting themselves in positions that they may end up regretting later. Everything from, you guys talked about them posting all kind of craziness on the different internet sites and not realizing that one day they may actually want to have, a career and jobs and all that stuff, and those things will or may most definitely come back and haunt them. So we're going to deal with some of the little issues that you're trying to get across to them and having a difficult time because they just don't see the big picture right now. They see it as just having fun, while they're young, but in a few years it could get, very embarrassing for them. You have a lot of people that, a lot of young people when they're, 19 and 20, that post things that they're dealing with young boys, so they're dealing with 19 and 20-year-old boys. And when they're 30 and they're trying to establish a business or trying to establish a career, and they're ready to step up and find a man. They're ready to do things like get married and have children or have more children or whatever. They find that some of those things that they post didn't quite get deleted. And once it's out there, it's out. It can be out there for good. And a lot of them are running into situations where they posted things 5 years ago that they're telling you now came back to haunt them. So we're going to deal with a couple of those issues today. I had a question that was asked of me today, and about the sounds in the videos. People were saying that they really love having me back and having me back teaching and educating, and that they were having a difficult time though with the sounds that are in the background, and they kept asking. They said they could still hear the information that I'm giving, but they wanted to know what the sound was that was in the background. I told you guys from the beginning that we're going to do this the same way that we would be doing it if the children were doing it the same way if a senior citizen had an older camera and was doing this. So we're not going to be doing this based on some elaborate setup or, some soundproof booth. I told you, I want you to be able to understand that you can do a ministry absolutely anywhere. I told you, you can do it in a broom closet, in a school bathroom, and under the bridge, on the sidewalk, in your car, wherever. And you need to be ready to deal with whatever noises. We could be doing a ministry show, we could do it on a park bench, and you're going to hear buses in the background. You're going to hear, children playing if we do it at a playground. There's so many different situations where you're going to hear things. You're going to hear phones ringing. You're going to hear people talking. You're going to hear a lot of different things. But to answer that question, a lot of you don't know why it's very difficult for me when I'm doing these shows. I don't have enough blood. I guess that's the bottom line of it, the long and the short of it. I don't produce enough blood, and I also lose too much blood. So, sorry, today my throat is all messed up because of the cold weather, but I have to have a heater going in the background. It has to be going full blast. They try to, if I turn the heat off, then in about 10 minutes I get really cold. And when I get cold, I get extreme pain. And I won't be able to get through this. Please believe me. So the sound that you hear in the background is the heater. And I actually kind of like to challenge people. I really do. And I like to challenge advocates. When I'm doing these things, even before I went down, people know I was the kind of person that always challenged you. And if you're looking for, the best quality video, the best quality show, there are a lot of sites and a lot of different people that you can get this information from that I'm giving you. If you're looking for the information, if you're actually, when I do this, I'm looking for those advocates that are about fixing the Black community. And when you're about fixing the Black community, I mean really about it, you don't let anything get in the way. You're listening for the information, and those advocates that go through what they have to go through to get the information, those are the ones that I'm going for. Those are the ones that I can really, really work with and deal with. So when I leave things the way that they are, it weeds out a lot of people that really aren't that serious about the situation. They're just either just looking, or listening to be listening, or they're listening just to criticize or whatever, and that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that at all. But what I'm looking for is those that are really, really serious about fixing some of this stuff. And for those that are, I know them instantly, because I have people that come to me and say, I like the video, but and they start talking about the sound in the background or the quality of the video or whatever. And then I have those that come to me, and then you know who you are. You come to me and you're like, wow, I didn't know that information about the police, or that information about the city, or about we're going to deal with a lot of different things. Even the religious stuff, I have religious people that come that talk to me over the city stuff over the past week, and they're like, I actually started the task that you told us to start, and I'm already amazed. And I told them that they would be. But, I prefer to challenge you. If you can't get through it because the sound quality is just too much for you, I can understand that. That's fine. That's not a problem. But for those of you that don't care anything about that and just trying to get the information to fix the things that you've been either stuck on or that you've been working on, but you need to take to the next level, you're the ones I'm looking for. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of clear that up. So when you guys hear me when it's hotter, or it starts getting warmer, we may be able to turn the heater off. But when it starts getting warmer, hopefully I'll have enough strength by then, and you'll still hear a bunch of stuff, because I'll be, I might be sitting on a piece of newspaper on the sidewalk and, doing ministry, talking to some homeless people. And you're going to hear all kinds of sounds. You're going to hear cars going past. You're going to hear, horns blowing. And so if that's a problem for you, if that's bothering you, then you might want to back away from this particular site or this particular show right now, because I can tell you, when we started dealing with the things that are going on with children and teenagers, with the defect slave trade, you never know what my teenagers might say. We're trying to bleep out anything. When I'm talking to the young people on the corner, they tell it like it is. You might hear them say pretty much anything. We're going to be dealing with people at elementary schools. So, you can hear a baby crying. You can hear, my little ones not so happy or crying or whatever the situation. You're going to be hearing a lot of noises in the background. My senior citizens, you'll hear them say, "What? What?" If they can't hear you, they'll actually on camera, they'll ask you, "What?" And so that may bother you. I really don't know what to tell you to expect as we're doing these shows. Those of you the few of you that know me know that I'll do a show in a museum, I'll do a show, and outside a museum I'll do a show at a festival. I'll do a ministry show pretty much anywhere. So hopefully you'll be okay. Those of you that just can't take it, like I say, there's plenty of different sites that you can go to and deal with that where you can get pretty much the same kind of information. It may not be presented to you all in its exact same way, but it's all basically advocates trying to break things down for you so that you have the information and the tools you need to fix some of this stuff. So I hope that answers a couple of those issues about the sound. Today we are going to deal, like I said, with an issue that you guys had while I was down, and over the course of time we're going to go through a whole list of things that questions you had, different things that you would ask me. I told you that I used to tell you that if you had a question for me, just write it down and you send it to me and I will answer you back. And so you continue doing that even when I was down. So a lot of you have a lot of questions that you wrote down over the time that I was down, that we're going to, over the next 52 weeks, we're going to try and get through. But today we're going to talk about, I told you how you can really challenge yourself as far as the things that black people are lacking in. And I have a lot of advocates that have a huge problem with the thought of black people being inferior. And so when it comes to fixing the black community, if we can't tell the truth, if we can't face things the way they are, then you can't fix them. It's as simple as that. So if, let's say when it comes to technology, if you have a bunch of black advocates, and while you guys are on these different sites, you should also be working toward building your own within that structure, so that it is based on just you talking to other black advocates. Now I'm looking at a lot of y'all pages, and a lot of you guys have, I told you, white friends. And when it comes to the situations that are happening in the black community, I'm sorry, if you're trying to fix the black community, you're going to run into three kinds of white people. Those that are trying to physically keep black people in the situation that they're in, those that are financially keeping black people in the situation that they're in, and those that want mental control, want to be able to tell black people what they can and cannot do. Okay? And so when you have these so-called white friends, I want you to think about what it took for 10,000, 1,000, 100,000, however many it was. I want you to think about what they had to do, how many blacks they had to get to go along with them in order to begin the slave trades, in order to infiltrate black villages, black tribes, black kingdoms. Which blacks did they have to go to in order to get that done? Which blacks let them in? Are you one of those kinds of blacks that if we had a black community and we had everything, black education going and all that good stuff, are you one of those that would allow whites back in to start the whole process and the whole situation all over again? If you got back a black country, or if you built a black country, I hear a bunch of you guys talking about, you need a black nation, you need to create your own black nation, you need to do this, you need to do that. But before you start working on all that, you need to ask yourself, which black person do you most relate to as far as our ancient ancestors? Because we had three kinds of ancestors. We had those that, for some reason, fell for it. They fell for the craziness that white folks were popping up and certainly saying. And you got white people coming to black countries and saying different things. There are black people that just fell for it. They believed the things that were being said. You also have black people that didn't fall for it. They was like, oh no, no way. And then, of course, you had children who were fascinated by it and were manipulated into actually falling in love with white people and wanting to be around and with white people so much. And I see that as I'm looking and reading the different things that you guys are sending me on these internet sites. I'm seeing the same thing. I'm seeing there are those of you, whether you're Pan-Africanist or nationalist or whatever, I'm seeing you engaged in all these different conversations about the black community. But when I look down into the comments, I'm seeing you engage in conversations with white people about fixing the black community. And that, one, it makes me kind of back off from you because I don't really take you seriously at that point. But the fact that you are trying to have a black discussion, and I see why you do it. I mean, I do understand. You guys are going to believe that you are not racist. So you don't block white people. You don't stop them from engaging in the black conversation. But let me help you understand, and we're going to talk about the actual meaning of what it really means to be racist and how you guys mistake white supremacy for racism. Racism is about your race, and many of you, your left brain and your right brain don't really connect to each other when it comes to certain things that you're trying to hide from yourself. And you can try, but it doesn't work. Your brain knows that if you're talking about you want a black community, you are saying that you don't want white people in it. When white people were back in the day were talking about a white community, it meant they didn't want black people in it. And you have a problem with white people that don't want black people in their community. For some reason, you have a problem with that. But then you, at the same time, you're saying you want a black community made of black people, black businesses, black schools. Well, how do you see yourself as not being about the black race? That's because you've been convinced that racism means that you're stopping other people you're stopping the other race. And there's only two races. We're going to talk about why there's only two races. You're either white or black, or some variation of those two. But you're not stopping the white race from doing things in their white community. You just don't want them to stop you from doing things for your black children in your black community. Okay? And both of you are racist. You are both promoting your own race. The problem that you misunderstand is with white supremacy. White supremacy still does their thing where they're promoting things for their white community, their white race and whatnot. But with white supremacy, they're trying to stop you from making things better in your black community. That is white supremacy. Okay? That is white people believing that they are superior over you, and they don't want to see you be equal with them. They don't want to see you as being more prosperous than them. They don't want to see you as being prosperous, period, without them being in control of it. So, at some point, you're going to have to get your mind wrapped around the fact that when I hear black people saying that they want a black school with black teachers, you're talking about an institution that promotes blackness. Okay? That's what you're talking about. And I hear people come up with all kinds of rationalizations. Racism is institutionalized. Well, if you're talking about a black school with black teachers teaching black history 365 days a year, that is institutionalized blackness. That's what it is. You are saying that if a white teacher comes to your black school to try and infiltrate your black school, that is not something that you want. And you will do what you need to do in order to keep that from happening. Well, that means you feel the same way as the white people feel about their school. Okay? You got to be honest about some things. And I know that's very, very difficult for a lot of people because since integration, you've been programmed to misunderstand things. Like one of the confusions that we're going to deal with is the difference between capitalism and monopolism. You have been tricked into rejecting capitalism. So you don't even have the money to build a black school because you've been programmed to reject the idea of capitalizing on the things that the gift that you've been given and that children have been given. You have the ability, you have the gift to be able to create a great black community, to create a prosperous business, to do the different things that you need to do. But you've been tricked into rejecting the steps that are needed in order to do that because someone confused you. They, instead of teaching you what monopolism is, capitalism being capitalizing on or whatever gift you have in order to better your situation or better your community or your environment or whatever. Monopolism is trying to stop somebody else from being able to do the same thing. So when you're seeing white people, you think it's capitalism. When you see white people making a bunch of money and they're making it off of poor people or people with less money, you're not seeing capitalism. Capitalism really is a situation where it's a commerce. Everybody that wants to be involved can be involved. Everybody that has something to offer can offer that and make money. That's what true capitalism is. Monopolism is, I don't want you to make the same amount of money that I make. I want to make more than you. I want to make it all. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into your nation and I'm going to seize control of your resources. And then I'm going to prevent you from being able to use your talents or use your resources or market your stuff so that I'm the only one that has that product. That's monopolism. And we're going to go through how you guys were manipulated into rejecting capitalism because you mixed it up basically, not on your own. You had a whole lot of help. Believe me, this was done deliberately. If you had a bunch of black people understanding what capitalism was and understanding how money moves, and you had them making money and using their gifts and doing all these things, the black community would be flourishing. I mean, would just be prospering all over the place. But to keep that from happening and to make sure that the whites were able to monopolize all of the resources that you would need to do that, they kind of switched over. They did the whole the pea in the shell game. You know what I'm saying? You got three shells: monopolism, socialism, and capitalism. And we're also going to talk about the whole communism part as well. But the three main ones that they try to confuse you with is monopolism, capitalism, and socialism. And I'm going to tell you why socialism is not a good thing. I know a lot of you black nationalists and Pan-Africanists are constantly talking about socialism like it's a good thing. And it's not. And I'm going to tell you why it's not. But to help you kind of wrap your mind around it, the three different groups of white people that you deal with on a daily basis that basically makes all of the decisions for your life that affect your property, your money, your jobs, your everything, are Republicans, Democrats, and liberals. Now, I done told you, Democrats and liberals are two different things. They try to make you think that they're the same thing. They are not. There are three different situations and three different groups of white people. So you have white Republicans, and white Republicans they want physical control of you. I told you about the physical control. If they could still have you in the slave trade, you would be. Okay? They want to control resources. They want to control, if they could control the whole world, that's their goal. Now, you have white Democrats. And when you think of white Republicans, I want you to automatically start using the word monopolist. Okay? If you use the word monopolist, you will begin to understand every single situation that I'm going to be discussing with you and dealing with you with when it comes to Republicans. If you just think monopolist. And as I go through these different things, y'all know how I am, I don't bite my tongue. As I go through these things, you have every right in the world to get offended if you want to. But before you start getting all, indignant and oh my gosh, she called us this, called us that, you might want to find out first if the things that I'm saying are true. If I tell a lie on you, you have every right to get upset and be offended. But you look crazy when you get offended at someone telling you the truth about something. If you don't like the truth, then you need to change that truth. You need to change that thing about you or about the situation. Ain't no sense in getting offended because someone points it out. That is just ridiculous. Okay? So I'm going to make a statement right now that's going to offend a lot of people. A whole lot of people. I don't care. Okay? Because before you get offended, find out if I'm telling the truth. Okay? Democrats, white Democrats, are socialists. Did y'all hear what I said? Did y'all hear what I said? White Democrats are socialists. I told you Republicans are monopolists. Now Republicans, amazingly enough, don't really have a problem with you calling them a monopolist. But Democrats seem to have a huge problem with you calling them socialists, even though they know that that's what they are. To help you understand, a Democrat is about power. Y'all think Republicans are about power. Republicans are about, they're just greedy. Okay? Yes, the power is just a means to an end. But with Democrats want to remain in power. And in order to remain in power, they need numbers. And in order to get those numbers, they're willing to give you pretty much anything you want except power. They're willing to give you any program that you want to keep you under their financial control, so that they can keep your numbers. The whole reason that you had white folks come down and even start trying to get black people the vote, the right to vote, is because they needed those numbers in order to beat Republicans. Well, they switched. I told you about the switch, and we're going to go through and talk about the point at which Dixiecrats or Republicans, Dixiecrat and Republicans, there used to be Republicans up north, and there used to be Democrats down south. And the Dixiecrat Democrats tried to take over the North. They did a pretty good job too. But they started running on the Republican ticket and winning those races, winning those offices. And so the Republicans, the Northerners, tried to do the same thing in the South. And so they started running on the Dixiecrat ticket or the Democrat ticket. And what you saw over the course of several elections was almost a complete switching of parties by both sides. Whereas now, those, what you see as racist, slave owning, uh, uh, what you thought were Dixiecrats are now Republicans. And those Northerners, socialists, all that good stuff, trying to keep programs going so that they can gain power, are now considered Southerners or Democrats. But you're now seeing that switching again, because Republicans still control physically much of the South, and Democrats try to control um, parts of the South and have a very difficult time of it. Now, Democrats can actually do okay in the North, but what you saw over the past years is Democrats actually doing the East and the West. And as they they spread out East and West, they were able to control those parts. But they have lost a lot of ground when it comes to the North and the South, because Republicans did their job. They literally tried to control both sides, North and South, and they did a pretty good job of it. They infiltrated the northern elections and won those races. So they already had many of the northeast areas of the country. So they pretty much started trying to control the whole map. And Democrats find themselves in very serious situations when it comes to trying to take those areas back, or trying to get control of those areas, because Democrats don't have the same numbers, dedicated numbers, that Republicans do. But when I'm talking about Republicans, I want you to think monopolists. If you think about any person, okay, if you ask yourself, okay, which candidates are trying to monopolize all the resources, or trying to keep all the money for themselves or whatever, and most of you will automatically think Republican. When you think which party is trying to give away a bunch of stuff in order to get people to vote, that's what it's for. That's why they do the program. They're trying to get you to vote, your loyal vote. And Democrats will give you almost any program that they can give you in order to get your loyal vote to Democrat. Now, the other one is liberals. And liberals want mental control. They want to be able to tell people what to do. They want to be able to tell you what animals you can eat and what animals you can't. It's extremely arrogant for someone to tell you what you can and can't eat. That you can eat this whale. You can eat this fish, but you can't eat this whale. You can eat the offsprings of plants, but you can't eat the offsprings of animals. That's some serious mental control that's trying to go, to happen. Anyway, we're going to give you ideas so that you can really, really understand. So when you're thinking about Democrats, I don't want you to think, I want you to think socialism. Because even if you're talking about other countries, you have Democrats, senators, or the House of Representatives, people that will give other countries any amount of money they want, anything they want. Because if you tell Democrats that you have, 500 million people in your country, and that they, these 500 million people will be extremely grateful if they had this program or that program, Democrats will give you that, give you that program, give you money for that program, because they want those numbers. They need those numbers. Whereas liberals, if you got a dog and a child, and that dog is about to kill that child, a liberal will make the arrogant decision that that dog must live. And you're like, well, what about the child? Well, we don't know what to tell you about that part, but you can't kill that dog. And that's a person that's mentally trying to control you. And the things that they're trying to control are not always sane decisions for the black community. And yet the black community keeps going along with these different liberal agendas, and we've seen the damage that liberal agendas have done to the black community. But black people are afraid, or maybe just don't realize, well, I think a lot of them realize, but they seem afraid to say the truth, that these things have basically decimated black communities. And when I see people going along with these liberal programs, I see how whites were able to get so many black people to help them and to promote the slave trade to other black people as something good. There were actually black people that promoted the white folks coming in and this slave trade thing, they didn't call it that, the going on this ship. That's something good that would be good for the nation, for the people. And they literally help white people to push this whites coming in and taking over. That's something good. And you see it today. You see black people actually promoting to other black people that it's a good thing for whites to come into a black nation and take over. You see white Asians. I can't even tell you how many black people from Pan-Africanists to nationalists that I'm seeing that are saying that it's a good thing for white Asians to be coming into black nations and basically doing infrastructure and all kinds of stuff. The white Asians are not putting down infrastructure for black people. They're doing it for control of black resources. And if you do not know this, if you do not even believe this, then you don't know history. Because this is not the first time that white Asians have taken over parts of Africa. You need to go back and find out how they took it over the first time. What happened to the Asiatic black man? You need to go back and find that out before you start saying that this is a good thing. When you say this is a good thing, I know you don't know what happened before. When you see, the British white people, the royal family and all this stuff coming down and dealing with Haitian children and children in Kenya and all this stuff, and I'm hearing black people saying, oh, he's just so wonderful. He comes down here and he talks to us and he deals with us. And I'm like, whoa. You're telling me that you don't know anything about the British colonization of your country. That's what you're telling me. So you're actually another generation that is welcoming it happening again. Now, I don't know what to tell you, but if you actually are looking at these things from the homosexual situation to the religious situation, the colonization situation, if you're seeing these things as good things for black people, then I have to tell you, you are promoting the notion that you're inferior. If you're saying that you need white Asians to come in and dig up your resources and make infrastructure for your nation because you can't do it by yourself. You can't accomplish these same things. You're saying to white Asians, we can't do it. We're inferior. We need you to come and do it for us. If you're telling, the United States or Britain or anybody that we can't control our own resources, we can't govern our own nation, we need you to come and help us run our country, then you're saying to them that we are inferior. And you're going to have to start telling the truth about what you're saying, that you're saying this, if you're going to change it. When black communities say that they're not teaching our black children, well, what you're saying is that you don't have what it takes to take your black tax dollars and build black schools with black teachers teaching black history 365 days a year. You don't have what it takes to build your community because you are inferior. You need white people to come and do it. You have to be able to say, okay, I don't like it. I don't like that I felt that way. I don't want to feel that way anymore. I'm going to admit that this is what the things that I said, this is the things that I felt, and I'm going to change it. And at that moment, you have to literally start training your mind to stop it. Stop saying that they aren't educating black male children. They aren't educating black children. You need to say, we're not doing what we need to do to educate black children. It is not white people's responsibility to educate black children. It is black people's responsibility to educate black children. It is not white people's responsibility to teach black history. It is black people's responsibility to teach black history. Okay? So, if you find yourself saying these inferiority type statements, stop it. Catch yourself. Stop. You got to write it down every time that you hear yourself say it. You got to stop it. You got to deprogram yourself from those things. When you say that Obama is not doing what he needs to do for the black community, what you need to say is that we hired Obama for what we thought he was going to do, and we have not asserted ourselves so that he understands what he needs to do for the black community. That's what you need. That's how you need to put it. Because you are the person running black America. You are the people responsible for black America. He's doing what he needs to do for white America because white America keep him in check and make sure that he does those things. If he is not doing what he needs to do for black America, then that is because black America is not running black America properly in order for those things to be done. Where is your agenda for him to the things that he needs to do? Where is it? White people have a whole agenda. Homosexuals have a whole agenda. White females have a whole agenda of things that they want done. Where's your agenda? I see you guys playing around and talking about an agenda. Where is it? What do you want him to do? Where's the list of things? If you cannot put together an agenda and get some things accomplished before he leaves office, then that's not something you can blame on him. You have to blame the way that you ran black America while you had partially a black president. Okay? I mean, there are people who waited all this time for a so-called black president. And then when you got him, half of the people were, so in love with the fact that you had a black president, and the other half was like, oh well, now what? We don't know what to do. You're running a nation. You're running a country. You're running. You have a group of people that need certain things. Every day that you wake up, you need to be accomplishing those things. You're getting those things accomplished. If you're not, then that's something that you have to look at yourself and say, what didn't I do to get these things accomplished today? What do I need to do tomorrow to get them done? And when it comes to curing the inferiority that you have allowed yourself to get settled into, when you see black children and they acting crazy, ask yourself, have I done everything that I need to do to try and get this child to mind right? If you have, now when black children turn 18, some of them lose their mind. But it's up to you to let them know what you will and will not tolerate. They want to lose their mind, take that to white America. You take yourself over to white America. We will not have this in black America. That's what you're going to have to get to the point where you can actually say, we will not, I don't accept this in black America. People say, well, back in Africa, ancient people, they accepted everyone. No. You got kicked out. If you did something that was detrimental, it shamed the family, it shamed the village, it shamed the tribe, it shamed the kingdom, you were kicked out. You were sent out to either find your mind or become food for animals. But you were kicked out. Because you were detrimental. But along the way, you lost that. Right now, you should not have to worry about, drug dealers in your community. Why are they there? They're not in white communities because white people let them in there. Why do you let them in there? Why do you let them into your community? Now, I told y'all I feel differently about drug dealers and plant dealers. Okay, so, but even the plant dealers, if they're detrimental, if you got two plant dealers and they're having shootouts and fighting over plants, well, they become detrimental. They gotta go. Bye. See, you gotta go. We will not have our children worrying about whether or not they're gonna get shot down in the street because two crazy fools is fighting over plants. Y'all gotta go. And you have to get to the point where you can actually say, we won't have that in this black community. We won't have that in black America. And that's the point that I'm going to help you try to get back to over the next 52 weeks. We're going to actually start gauging how much accomplishment, how much you've accomplished toward what it is that you say you're trying to fix. Okay? But you have to start by being able to tell the truth. If you feel inferior when it comes to technology, it's time for you to learn it. If you feel inferior when it comes to math or science or educating your own black children, it's time to deal with that. If you feel inferior when it comes to building homes or fixing up these homes in the black community. You had white people come in and able to buy 1,000 houses for less than $1,000 each. They exterminated black people out of those neighborhoods and then came in and bought 1,000 houses for less than $1,000 each. And you're like, okay, they literally, and within a matter of a few years, completely took over a black neighborhood. And if they're able to do that, and you're not able to get those neighborhoods back, then what you're saying is that you have allowed yourself to become inferior. You need to admit that, and you need to work on fixing that. Because if you're going to fix black cities, you're going to get these black cities back going the way they need to go. There's some things you gotta tell the truth about. Okay? So we're going to try and get through 2 shows today. But I wanted to really get you at least in the mind frame of admitting some things, because the questions that you guys are coming to me with, you guys have the answers to these questions. You have the ability to do the things that you're saying, excuse me, that you're stuck on. But you've allowed yourself to wait for somebody else to do it. And that has to stop. Yes, you all have been moving more toward homeschooling, which is great. But you need to have a black educational structure. You need to have it so that you are in control of black education in your black community. That needs to be your goal. And I told you guys, white folks deal in 10-year intervals. And I tried to just teach you guys how to deal in 10-year intervals. So you started from 2010. You had from 2000, you had from 2000 to the end of 2009, December 31st, 2009, to accomplish a certain amount of things. You now have had from January 1st, 2010, and you only have till December 31st, 2019. As you see, time is going really quickly. There's some things that you were to be working on before I went down. You need to gauge how far you've gotten with those things. It's not enough to just haphazardly do stuff. You have to have a systematic approach to things in order to fix this stuff. Okay? So, if you think of yourself as having, we're going to look at what you've done from January 1st, 2010 to now. And I want you to make a list of the things that you wanted to do. The things that were on your list. Some of you have already made your list. You had your list back in 2010. But I want you to pull those lists out, or make those lists of things that are needed to fix the different situations going on in the black community. And then we're going to gauge how much progress you've made. And then we're going to deal with what you have to do from now until December 31st, 2019, to be able to have to accomplish the things you needed to do in that 10-year span. Okay? In order to cure the different issues with black inferiority, you're going to have to tell the truth, and we're going to have to accomplish those things. Okay? Y'all know the deal. If you're still here next time, we're going to deal with some things. Okay?